And Baba said, well, he can come back to Mehrabad if Padri will take him. It's Padri's choice. So and of course there was no phone at Mehrabad then, so they had to send a chit from the office in town where there was a phone to Padri, and it had to come back and forth, and Padri agreed to take him. But what's interesting to me about that is that when Muhammad came back to live at Mehrabad, he was no longer he was not sort of gave up the status of being the must in the mustache. He became one of the inmates, like us. And so there was that freedom of relationship with him that was so wonderful. And of course, Eric and I used to joke about how in the early years when we went there, he was a wild mus. As he got older and older, he became a tame mus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he was very much aware of his environment. People say, did he know where he was? Did he understand anything? I said, oh yes, completely aware of his environment. But he occasionally something would happen, and he would demonstrate that he knows everything you're thinking.
Right. Well, it's 5:30 now, so can we all start, please? Jai Baba, everybody.
Jai Baba.
Janice, could you please start with the prayer?
जय बाबा। प्रियतम परमात्मा, हमारी ऐसी सहायता कर कि हम तुझसे अधिक का अधिक प्रेम करें, और अधिक और अधिक, और फिर भी उससे भी अधिक प्रेम करें, जब तक कि हम तुझ में मिलकर एक हो जाने के पात्र बन जाएं। और तू हम सबकी ऐसी सहायता कर कि हम अंत तक प्रियतम बाबा का दामन दृढ़ता से पकड़े रहे। अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय। अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय। अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय।
Jai Baba, everybody. Welcome to this wonderful Thursday evenings program. In the beginning, the onset, I would like to invite our one and only Meher Baba to come and join us for this meeting. Not only just join us, but to take over the goings on the entire duration of this meeting. Let each one speak whatever he wishes us to speak, and let the love, his love, flow from us to all the listeners around. Today, we have with us Mr. Alan Wagner.
Everybody.
Jai Meher Baba, Alan. I have a long association with Alan and some very fond memories. I could go on and on, but then I would be cutting into his time. But suffice to say that if I were to describe Alan in one sentence, he's a gem, like Baba used to do this, gem. He's a gem of Mehrabad. He's a gem of Mehrabad. And, well, he is multi-talented. He's been cooking for N number of years at the MPR, MPC earlier. So those of us who had the meals served, we all owe him. In Hindi, we say, "Humne unka namak khaya hai." We've had his salt, you know. So that's how it is. Alan is very fluent in Marathi, and
let's say not very fluent.
yeah.
Gauti Marathi.
Okay. And well, what can I say? talking to him takes me back in time when he and Erico and Heather and all of us would sit around Muhammad the Mast and talk about everything. I still remember once I was staying alone in the Dharamshala, and Alan's residence was just next door. And there was this kind of earthquake at Latur, and things were shaking up in Mehrabad as well. I was the sole occupant in the dormitory of the Dharamshala. And like an idiot, I thought Baba was giving me some planetary experience. So I was enjoying the shaking of the bed and everything. And I suddenly heard Alan calling out from outside, Sam, Sam, are you all right? He was there with a torch, and we both got out, and we waited it out till the earthquake thing was over. And there are a lot of these small incidents which I still cherish. I remember meeting him and his mother in Delhi. That was also a long time back. And we could go on and on, but that's not what we are here for. We are here to listen to Alan because I know that he's got a storehouse of things to talk about himself and Baba. And so, Alan, please take over, and Jai Baba, do your best.
Well, if anyone at any time has a question that they'd like to put forward about life at Mehrabad and life, the life, I would be happy to take those.
Sure.
Further, I want everyone to understand, I will only be speaking about my own experience. That's all I can really talk about with any authority. So, does anyone have a question to start out with?
Sorry?
If not, do you, Sam? Do you have a question?
No, not at the moment, no.
Well, what can I say? I can never possibly give up the sense of gratitude that I feel toward Meher Baba for having taken me in and having let me weather these years of my life, these 45 years of my life, living in Mehrabad, striving to serve him. I often felt like my room in Lower Mehrabad next to the Dharamshala was like a ship. I was like inside of the hold of a ship, and I was weathering the storms. You know, there were beams, and it was like we were going through the storms of my life with Baba at Mehrabad. Eretz used to say the Kudu Scepter of our time is Mehrabad. So it was quite. It has always been and remains an incredible adventure every day. There's not a day. One thing I can say for my life with Baba, there has never been a boring moment.
Wow. Yeah.
He's always stirring the pot.
Mm.
So there's always challenges. There's always opportunities. There's always great, wonderful things to appreciate. Where should I? Maybe I should start with like right before I came to live to Mehrabad, when I had been approached about the idea of living there on a pilgrimage when I was here, when they were first starting to build the Pilgrim Center. And the reason was I was managing country clubs at that time in the United States, and they wanted me to come and be involved with the management of this building. And I thought, well, I have nothing binding me. I have nothing holding me back. And if I don't like it, I'll leave. So I said, of course. So there were still a few years to go before the building was completed. And I took a job working in South India to accumulate some funds to be able to live at Mehrabad. And during that time, whenever there was free time, I would come up to Mehrabad and spend my time here, and then I would have to go back to work. on one of those occasions, about 2 or 3 months before I came here to live, I was there, and Erica was already there. He'd been living there a few months before I got there, Eric and Heather. And Erica was helping with the construction of the MPC by, keeping track of things like counting bags of cement, which was a big deal when we would receive cement. So that he gave me that job one day. He said, would you count the deliveries are coming, count the bags of cement as they go in to make sure that we get the right amount. So while counting those bags of cement, I suddenly had a poem come to me, which I wrote. Simple little poem about Baba. And the next day, I took that poem to Marazad to read to Mara, because in my life here, Mara played a very big role, and she was a great support and a tremendous support to the pursuit of living the life for him. And I had a wonderful relationship with her. And
I'm
so I
sorry
went to
to interrupt, Alan. I'm sorry to interrupt, but there are quite a few people who are saying that they cannot hear you. If you can come closer to the mic, that would help.
Better?
And also somebody's asked how you came to Baba. So this was on the chat. So just want to let you.
I'll finish this little
Please.
story right now.
Yeah.
And then I'll tell how I came to Baba.
Yeah.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Alan,
Speak a bit slowly and clearly. That's all.
Alan, your earphones, if you can see there's a microphone on the earphone. Will it be possible to hold that a little closer to your mouth and speak? Not these,
Microphone.
not the earphones. So
Something
Adi,
else is happening.
the microphone on the earphones where you speak.
Now, is that better?
I think
Yes.
so. Yeah.
Thank you.
Slightly better. Thank you.
The world of the technical.
Yes. Participants, he's trying his best to be loud. He has a little problem talking too loud. So if you can use the earphones, please. Thank you.
All right.
Please
Is
continue.
that any better?
Yes.
Is that better now?
Yes, now it's better.
Okay, great. I will try and
Thank you so
speak up
much.
also.
Yes.
So what happened was I took that little poem to Marazad and I read it to Mara, and she immediately said, "That's for me. Give that to me." And she took the poem, and then I left and I went back to work. And about 3 or 4 weeks later, I came back and she had someone put it to music, and she had me learn the song, the poem as a song, and it was her favorite song, which was my great. I mean, I couldn't have been more ecstatic. So shall I sing that little song?
Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Just beameth me, the answer came. I love you as you are, my dear. Don't worry what to do. Desire is all you have to tame. My sword of love will slay your fears. Don't worry what to do. I am the one, my time has come. Love triumphs over all. Don't worry what to do, my dear. Just be with me as you are. I'll always be with you. I'll always be with you.
Jai Baba.
So that was the song. All right, someone wanted to know how I heard of Baba. I heard of Baba when I was about 19. I was in college at a small college high up in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. It was its first year of operation. it had been kind of based on some progressive ideas in the arts, which I was very interested in. And the very first day I was there, I met the Dean of Women, who I became friends with, and she had invited me into her office, and on her wall, she had tacked up the universal message, a little threefold pamphlet. And she said, you might be interested in this. And I looked at it, I looked at Baba's picture, and I read the material on the front of it, and I realized, I said, this guy is obviously perfect, but what does that mean to me? At that time, I had no idea about master and disciple or guru and chela. I didn't understand, had no idea or understanding of that relationship. So I thought, well, what does it mean to me? Well, very quickly, within the next month, Baba made it very clear what that meant to me. He, first of all, at that time I had realized that the only thing in existence that had any particular meaning was love.
Wow.
That nothing else really had any significance whatsoever. I was sort of a depressive kind of young person. And it was like, I could never figure out why anyone would bother with the monotony of waking and sleeping. So it was a very big deal. And then it finally I had the realization that love was the thing that made existence worthwhile. Yeah, so at that time, I was sort of meditating on love and the word Om. And suddenly I noticed, without my volition, I had changed what I was meditating on to Meher Baba Om. And I thought, what's going on here? I've been doing this for several days and I didn't really even notice. Also, then again, another friend of mine went out to California at that time and sent me a poster of Baba as the ancient one, the Christ-looking ancient one poster. And so I put that up on my wall in my dorm. And a woman who I had been kind of my girlfriend in college, she was in Denver. She was in Denver in the nursing school, and she met someone who introduced her to Baba, and she sent me the book, The Everything and the Nothing. And she said, I think you might be interested in this. So Baba was working me over, so to speak. And I didn't really know where that was all leading, but he was certainly invading my life. And one of the crux moments at that time, at that time, smoking marijuana was all over the place in colleges. And I really didn't have, when I read God Was a Pill, when I first heard of Meher Baba when I first had the first talk, I heard of Alan Cohen speak about the drugs, Baba getting people off of drugs. And I wasn't committed to drugs at all, but they were in the environment, certainly. And it was occasionally at a party, I would smoke marijuana, and it was sort of socially awkward if you didn't. But when I thought everything Baba said about drugs in God With a Pill was just right. It made perfect sense to me. It all seemed like a colossal bore as far as I was concerned. Anyway, I was at a dinner party one night with 3 other people, and after dinner, they pulled out some marijuana, and they were passing it around, smoking it. And I smoked it with them because I didn't want to create an awkward situation. But with each time I would take the smoke in, I would feel tremendous nausea, overwhelming nausea, actually. And finally, I said to myself internally, I just said to myself, you're just too uptight. Just close your eyes and relax. So I closed my eyes. And the minute I closed my eyes, Meher Baba's image burst into my mind's eye. The age he would have been, this is 1967. The age he would have been exactly at that time, but his countenance was stern and strong and very authoritarian. And he didn't open his mouth, but I heard a voice say, I will give you everything and nothing, but you must stop taking drugs.
Oh.
And he said it with such authority that it terrified me. So then his countenance softened. His face softened and he smiled. And I heard a voice again say, but don't worry because I love you.
Wow.
And I opened my eyes and I thought, well, that was a lot more real than the world that I'm seeing around me now. But I still felt this nausea. So I got up to get a drink of water, and I took a drink of water and I passed out cold on the floor. They revived me and got me over to a chair, and I passed out in the chair. They got me into the car and I passed out in the car. Then they got me back to my dorm and I passed out in my bed in the dorm. It was as if Baba was saying, this is over. No more of this. And when I woke up in the morning, I looked up at the poster over my bed and I said, well, I guess I know who you are. So that was that story. How I came. That was kind of putting the seal on this pressing the seal into the wax, so to speak. Anything else?
Jeff Wolverton has joined in. Perhaps Jeff.
Hi, Jeff. Jai Baba.
Unmute yourself, Jeff.
Go to work in a few moments, but you had a wonderful experience of Mara, and I was wondering if you could share that, and over the years too.
Right, I did. I had my very first experience of Mara was in 1969 at the Darshan program. When the group that I was in, the first group that came, she didn't meet the men, but in the second group that came that I was in, she had decided to meet all the men. And the way this was done was in Guru Prasad, there was a hall, a big hall down the middle of the building. And then there were the wing on the right side was for the men and the wing on the left side was for the women. And there were doors that communicated into those side wings. So we were told to go to this door that went into the women's wing, to step inside the room. Mara would be standing in a door in a room next to that room. We were to just say Jai Baba, and then go on out onto the veranda through another door and pass out into Guru Prasad garden. So when my turn came, we were lined up there, and everyone would go by and just stop in front of Mara and say Jai Baba, and she would say Jai Baba back, and that was it. So when I got there, I stood there and I looked into her eyes and I said Jai Baba. And when I looked into her eyes, I realized that there was a depth in this being that was so vast that I could fall into it forever and never find the end. And I was kind of became, and when she said Jai Baba back to me, it kind of became dazed. And I wandered around in the garden for a while. And at that time, I didn't think I would ever come back to India because I had heard of Baba when he was in seclusion. And then an invitation came to come for darshan. And now he had dropped his body, and I didn't think I would ever get another invitation. I underestimated him. So I thought I would never see her again. I would think of her over and over and over in various aspects of my life in the West, and kind of longing to meet her again. So when I came on my first pilgrimage, right from the beginning, she was comfortable with me. She once told someone, Alan is not uncomfortable. Most men are uncomfortable with me, but Alan is not uncomfortable with me, so I am comfortable with him.
Oh.
So that was a wonderful thing to hear.
Mm.
And so there were periods where for many, many years, I would sit with her for about an hour every Sunday evening. When all the pilgrims had left, she would keep me back, and I would stay on the ground, and she would have some story she wanted me to hear. She may have had Naja cook something she wanted me to taste. She may have, something about the gossip of the ashram in the old days, whatever it was. She would have something, and I'd have this wonderful, wonderful experience with sitting just with her. And then I would leave her, and as I was going out, usually Eric would call me in. Another time with Eric for about an hour. So yes, I did have quite a relationship with her.
Anything else, Jeff?
Well, someone had asked how you got from Denver to India. I mean, the whole transition, you eventually wound up living in India.
It was
But it
really,
also, I wonder about your time
Jeff, you're breaking up. I can't hear you.
with Muhammad the Must.
Oh,
Oh,
the
I
internet.
was just saying,
Go ahead, Jeff.
yeah,
Go ahead.
no, just how he got from Denver to India and lived all those many years. And I know people want to know about Muhammad the Must and your experience there, and with Padri.
Well,
Yeah.
oh, God.
Yeah.
I mean, the company Baba gave me to live with at Lower Meriwad couldn't have been better. That's all I can say. Anyway, on my first pilgrimage after 69 Darshan, which I didn't know people were going. I went to the center. I think it was in '72 that I found out people were going on pilgrimage because I thought I would never go back again after 69 Darshan. And so the next year in '73, I made arrangements to go to India and have for darshan, for pilgrimage, and I went. And they had just, I think it was that one or the next pilgrimage, they had just decided to build the Pilgrim Center. And at that time, I was managing Pine Lakes in Myrtle Beach, Pine Lakes Country Club. So they said, "Oh, you have some experience at management. Would you like to come and get involved with this? We don't know what we're going to do with it." I said, "Absolutely, I would love it. I have nothing binding me. Why not?" And part of my reasoning also was I thought, you know, with the Mandali, so many of the Mandali press, I didn't really think of it in this context, but I thought, coming here now, you would really get an idea of what Baba liked. And maybe I could be ready in 700 years. I could start preparing myself by knowing what Baba likes for 700 years from now. So I could be there then. So those were some of the motivations for coming to India. And that's how I got to India. Muhammad the Must, well, he was a delight. I mean, my relationship with him had many aspects. And I had many names. Over the years, I had different names at different times. One of my names was Chesnawala. One of my names was Nishiwala. One of my names was Katachi Malik, because I was the only one he would let make his bed. One of my names was Bochachamala, which means master of the atoll, because I'm the only one he would let wash his bottom when he took a crap.
Mm.
So, in fact, there were occasions where he would have moved his bowels, and I would be a nugger, and the servant would be waiting at my room till I got back. He wouldn't get off the pot till I got back to wash his bottom. So I had many, many, many names with Muhammad over the years. And Eric, of course, was his main caregiver, but I was kind of second. I was the second who could step in when Eric and Peter were away. I marveled at the fact that I had a fifth plane Musk as a friend, and I really felt like he was my friend. He demonstrated to me several times that he knew everything I thought, and that can be incredibly embarrassing. But he did demonstrate that to me. There were occasions where I would kind of be stuck in my mind in some kind of unpleasantness and depression and just feeling horrible. And all of a sudden I'd get a call from Muhammad, and he would call me over, and there would be like nothing to do. There wouldn't be any, because I was always more or less involved with doing work for him. There would be nothing to do, but he would just want me to sit down and say, hold this bag of, soap or something. He would, in those moments when I was in that state of mind, he would distract me. I realized after some time he was aware of it, and he would distract me and get me out, and I would immediately come out of it. So he was Padre called him the tiger's child because there was this, he had these attributes of the authority of the fifth plane as a man, but the childlike quality, just like a child, so delightful, so innocent. He was quite wonderful, quite wonderful. Anything else, Jeff?
Jeff, anything else?
Well, I know all
Remember,
these years. Oh, yeah, sorry.
I remember when he died, that I sat down on the steps. We were Janet and myself and Heather and Erica bathed his body. And when we were finished bathing his body, and I came out from the place where we were bathing, and I sat down on the steps of the veranda of the bungalow. And Heather came over to me and she sat down with me and she said, "Are you all right?" And I said, I never realized when I came here to live, because I was young, that I would see all these old ones die. I never realized how much loss I would have to endure. Muhammad's death opened that door.
There's a lady who wants to ask a few things. Go ahead, Sanober. Can you come on and ask, please? Sanober, are you there? Hello?
I see her name, Sanober.
Yeah, she wants to.
Sorry, yes. I just wanted to know the events of how you arrived in India in a sort of chronological way so that we understand how things went. Did you attend the 69 darshan?
I did.
Oh, so how did you between 1967 and 69, how did you go about increasing your relationship with Baba?
Really speaking, he did it. He increased his relations. He increased my awareness of his relationship with me. He's the master. He's there to master me. So it was really him revealing to me more and more his love for me, his concern for me, just his love for me. And I cannot take any credit for doing anything other than relishing the awareness of it.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Jeba.
Alan, I'd heard about this incident where Muhammad asked someone to wash his bum several times, about 9, 11, 12 times or something. And the next day there was so many bomb blasts in Mumbai. Do you know anything about it, or were you there?
I have not heard that specific story, but it certainly is possible. It certainly could have happened. I mean, he was he's a must that Baba worked through. I mean, for World War II, I mean, he was someone available to Baba for his work.
Mm. Oh.
So it wouldn't surprise me, but I was unaware of that.
Mm. Oh, okay. Folks, anybody wants to ask any questions, please go ahead. This is a God-sent opportunity. Don't miss it.
Please tell us about your experiences at the 69 darshan.
Well, I would say that my initial experience was bewilderment. Here I was. I turned 21 the day before I left for the 69 darshan in New York. We arrived there. I found India very familiar. It did not seem strange to me at all. There was this great sense of portent. I mean, sitting on the floor in the Guru Prasad Hall, Baba's chair at the front, Eric's getting up and saying, "You have kept an appointment with God." It was all overwhelming, frankly. I think that it took about, for me, I went through it, I experienced it, coming to Mehrabad one day, and that during the day, we were only there for, I think, 7 days or 6 days. One day we took a ST bus from Pune to Mehrabad and Mehrabad. It was in April. And I remember coming out of Baba's, being overwhelmed by the sense of his presence at the Samadhi, coming out of the Samadhi and looking out and seeing all this development of the city all over, all around, in front of me, and waters flowing, and trees, and sort of what it looks like now, actually. Because it was absolutely barren. I remember bowing down in Baba's room at Mirazad for the first time, and again feeling this, just feeling him, and being so grateful that he would allow. I didn't even accept myself, and he accepted me. That was profound to me. And he, I think it took him better than 6 months, several months or a year even after the darshan for me to finally really settle in and be fully aware of how he loved, be in a position to become fully aware of how he loved me. And because there were, all through my relationship with Baba, there are these moments where he reveals to me how he loves me on my terms. So there's no question. It's personal. It's totally Baba loving Alan. And those are the things that make life worthwhile. And make, for me, persuade me to continue to have more.
Jay, you raised the hand. Jay, go ahead, ask.
Yes. Hi, Alan. I was just wondering, has Baba put you through like many difficult situations? Because for the past few years, I feel like I've been going through hell, and I have a sense it's Baba's way of showing his love and, clearing my sanskaras. I just wanted to know your opinion on that.
Well, it's my experience that Baba definitely works through conflict. And he comment, I mean, Bauji many years ago once told me, he said, conflict based upon what you feel Baba wants you to do is creative. Conflict based upon just what you want to do is destructive. So, of course there's been, I mean, Baba uses conflict. Any Baba lover who's been with Baba for any length of time is aware of how Baba uses conflict. I know that the more I trust him, the less effect conflict has on me. The more I rest back in his love and trust him and don't try to do it myself. Don't let my ego decide that it knows what to do. The more the conflict has, less effect on me. But, oh yes, there's been outrageous conflicts here at Mehrabad, really. If Eretz would literally called Mehrabad the Kurukshetra of the modern world. Kurukshetra is the battlefield where the Pandavas and the Kauravas fought their battle in Krishna's time. So Eretz would say Mehrabad is the Kurukshetra of this time. So there are lots and lots and lots of conflicts all over the years. But it was, nothing. I wouldn't give up any of it, because all of it was, all of it gave me some sense of being involved with him. So he kept my consciousness aware of him being involved. And I think of the Hafiz quote that's outside the dining hall in the NPR that Oliver, the three quotes that Oliver, couplets that Oliver put together for Baba the day he dropped his body. Everything my dear, do not question what the master does, for everything he does is for the ultimate good of all concerned. That keeps resonating in my consciousness over and over and over. Particularly when I'm involved with some kind of problem or conflict or difficulty. Is that of any use?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, Jai Baba.
Yeah, Baba. And certainly now that just for you again, Jay, is there one? I have Parkinson's disease, and it's a very insidious thing. But I feel like it's 100% meaningful. I feel like it's perfectly designed for me to find more ways to love him and trust him.
Yes, the only thing we can do is completely trust Baba and just hold on to his Daman. Yes.
Right. No, the trust is a huge thing. There was a period in my life here at Mirabad where every time I bowed down for about a year at the Samadhi, every time and I went there every day, every time I bowed down at the Samadhi, I would feel Baba say within me, can't you just trust me? Can't you just relax and trust me?
Yeah.
Huge, it's huge. And finally, he kind of won. He won that one. He wins them all, what to say.
Thank you. Thank you again.
Hi, Jimmy.
Jimmy?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Jimmy.
Alan, I didn't really catch you when you said that Mera said, can you come and help us? And you said you have the experience. What was it about? Was it about your culinary expertise?
No, it was about me managing country clubs. I was managing country clubs at that time. My culinary life was something that I did as a personal, private thing when I was in college. I used to cater for people. I never took any money. I just said, we'd work out a menu. I'd say, here's the marketing list. Go buy all this stuff. Have it in your house. I'll come and cook it. Just give me a bottle of Remy Martin and don't expect me to be sober when the party starts. So that was where my cooking, my main focus were other things, but cooking was always in my background, always there.
About the Indian dishes, did anyone help you? The Indian
Oh
dishes.
my goodness. Naja.
I wanted you to tell me that. I wanted you. Please tell us.
Naja would take me in the back and have me taste this and have me taste. She taught me how to make dansak masala.
Wow.
She taught me, it's got so many ingredients. She taught me how to make dansak masala. She taught me how to make sambar masala, Parsi sambar masala. She taught me khichdi sauce.
Wow.
She taught me dansak. She taught me dansak rice. What were some of the other things? What was it? The patia, lal bopla patia. Trying to think. There were many things. There were things that I would have these. It wasn't Mara. It was actually the person who first mentioned my coming to be involved with the MPC was not Mara. It was Gohir. And then it kind of, Pendu then kind of said something and it kind of went around. And so it was, and I had nothing keeping me from doing it. So I thought, why don't I come and try and do it? Let's see what happens. Here I am 45 years later.
Did Katie help you in any way? Katie
Katie also helped me, but she was not as involved with showing me dishes by that time I knew a lot of the stuff. I knew a lot of the different, and Naja was such an insightful being. She completely understood that you cannot like something in terms of food, and it can be, but yet it is good, but it's just not your taste. So she was not confined to what she liked. She had an incredibly view of what food was all about. And anyone who would come and stay at Marazad, Baba would call someone and they'd be at Marazad or wherever, she would always be trying to find out what they liked and make something special for them. No matter what, Western, Indian, whatever it was. She was always, she would tell me about some of those things. It was, she was a phenomenal human being. That's all I can say. She had this incredibly broad view of things, very accepting, tremendously warm, something that showed to me the magnificence of her character. When the day the MPC opened, we all the Mandali came. Well, it was a couple of days before it opened. All the Mandali came for lunch, and it was my first big cook for everybody kind of deal. And I was a wreck. And we managed it. I managed it all. It happened. But at some point, I was out of the kitchen for a few minutes before lunch was served. And when I came back, Nadia was standing at the kitchen door at the kitchen door. And I said, "Nadia, Jai Baba," and she opened her arms and she embraced me. And I said, "What are you doing?" She said, "I'm waiting for you to come to take your permission to go into the kitchen."
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Look at the character of the being. Look at the quality of human being. And I said, "But Nadia, there's nothing in my life that I don't owe to you and Baba. This is yours." She said, "No, this is your kitchen. I should take permission first." And then we came into the kitchen. No, she was remarkable. Remarkable. And then I found out later, she had that, they always said that she had some special relation with Baba, maybe because she was his cousin. But, even that time when Baba left everything and marched down the road of Mirabad, he was going to leave them all. He was finished. They were all too much trouble to work with. And Nadia was the one who went after him. Everyone else was afraid to go after him, but Nadia went after him and persuaded him to come back. They all said. No, she was, Nadia was a heavyweight, believe me. So those things are all there. What else was Nadia? And then other Indian dishes, I've learned on my own. I've learned from various pilgrims and Baba lovers who come, different things to try and keep enough of a varied menu to accommodate his lovers who are all different, from all different cultures, all different backgrounds, all different cuisines. There's no single, with Baba, there's no single thing. It's all individual, it's all personal. Everything with Baba is personal. Even though Mirabad is becoming more and more institutional, I hope it maintains that aspect of how everything was personal with Baba.
Alan, did Naja mention anything about her father? Did she learn the trait from her father, Masaji?
No, she didn't really. I don't recall her ever mentioning much about Masaji. And Pendu and he were at war. His son and he were at war. So Pendu never told me anything.
Okay.
Dinku, you have raised your hand. Go ahead. Ask your question. Dinku.
Jai Baba, Alan,
Baba.
first of all, I'd just like to say I've always thoroughly enjoyed the meals you provide for us at Mirabad.
Thank you.
And
Thank
secondly, I'd like to know, what do you mean by saying that Mirabad is now becoming more institutionalized? I couldn't understand that.
Well, the Mandali are gone. And the Mandali were really, I always have felt that by Baba leaving the Mandali for all of us, he extended his physical presence through them. So because their lives were completely dedicated to taking care of his physical being, the man, Baba the man. So but by having them remain, we all gain so much experience of what it was to be with him physically. Because everything they said and everything they did has been honed and formed by taking care of his physical being. So that, and that with them, with the Bandali all passing away, and now all of us who are now old, who came here 45 years ago, 50 years ago, our world is diminishing. And also with the numbers that are coming now. I mean, back then it was, we couldn't imagine filling the Pilgrim Center with people. It was 56 beds, and it was rare that it ever had 56 beds. It was usually 10, 20, 15, maybe 30. But now with the Pilgrim Retreat, with the numbers and the people want to come, people are coming. With the numbers that are coming, there has to be put in place, what would I say, systems and means to execute work that are more institutional in nature and less personal. But I hope there's always a way to keep something personal about it. So I don't know where that's going to go. That's the future. I won't be here. That's the future. But it's a change which I see happening in order to just facilitate getting everything done for so many people.
Okay, thank you.
Alan, could you tell us something about your relations with Padri Kaka?
Oh, the most aesthetically refined human being I've ever known.
Oh,
So refined. Oh my word. It was, everyone talked about how gruff he was and how, how strict he was and all this and that and the other thing. The most outstanding thing in his character to me was how much respect he showed toward everything and everybody. He was colossally considerate. I mean, monumentally considerate. And at the same time, he had this highly developed aesthetic. His sense of beauty was really, really quite amazing. Where he could find beauty, how he saw beauty.
mm.
No, I feel so privileged that Baba let him be he was like our Dumbledore or our Gandalf in our life here at Mirabai. What else would I say about him? Well, I remember the first few silence days here, I was surprised because Padre would just go in his room and close the door. And he said once, the point is to keep silent, mister. It's not how can I be involved with as much socializing as possible without saying a word. That's not the point. The point is to keep silent. So he'd just go in his room and close the door. Meanwhile, everyone's writing notes frantically, It was an interesting comparison.
Mm.
That was, I think there's anything else. When he expressed authority, it came from a place that was so sure. I mean, this man knew exactly where he was and who he was. He was not in any way unsure. And so there were these occasions where you would see, he absolutely couldn't stand lying, any kind of lying. So there were a couple of instances where I was present when some worker would lie to him. He would beat them physically. It was terrifying, absolutely terrifying. Open-handed, slapping the face, one back and forth with both hands, and the person was frozen, couldn't move. Normally you'd run. The guy was frozen. Padre's beating him and beating him, and you think, oh, it's going to stop. No, it kept going on. It was terrifying. And in the next minute, he would turn around. I saw this happen. He turned around and he bent down and he picked this little white flower, wildflower off the ground. He said, this is called portulaca. It depicts the hierarchy because there are 5 petals, and each petal has 3 notches in it for the 3 worlds. And in the center is the avatar.
Wow.
There was no anger, there was no residual, and there was nothing. It was gone.
Mm.
From being absolutely terrifying to absolutely nothing in a second. No, he was a very, very unusual man. I mean, they all were. The Padre, how considerate he was. There was an occasion where I kind of tried to get my way in something that he was doing, like a spoiled brat. And it was before Amartisi. He came, he knocked at the door. I was in my room. He came to my room. He knocked at the door. He came in. We sat down on my bed in my room, and he said, I need your room as a storeroom for these folks who are doing the kitchen, the canteen for Amartisi this year. And I said, oh, but couldn't they just use the Savage's kitchen, which was kind of a Chataya lean-to thing we had put up next close to my room, just right next to my room, sort of. And Padre said, no, mister, I need your room. Clear it out. You put your stuff in the Savage's kitchen and let them use it.
Oh.
Do you understand? I said, yes, Padre.
Jay, go ahead, Jay. You have a question?
Yes. Ellen, I've every time I've visited Mehrabad, I've seen you do the prayers at noon at the Samadhi.
Yes.
And I was just wondering, I'm sure I know one of the Mundi has asked you to do this, but what is the significance of it? And that's all.
What it was it's kind of it came about mainly because at Arti, first of all, I personally don't like the social atmosphere around the Samadhi at Arti. I feel like I don't go to the Samadhi to be with other people. I go there to be with him. And so I've never been one to go to Arti. However, in the first weeks that I was living at Mehrabad, I have a photograph of Baba that I carry with me everywhere that Mani gave me in 1969 that Baba had touched. And that whenever I'm traveling or when I'm out, wherever I am, I will say my prayers before that photograph. So when I came to Mehrabad, I was in my room at Lower Mehrabad saying my prayers to that photograph. And one day I felt Baba internally say to me, why don't you do this at the Samadhi? That's what it's for. So I went to Garki. I didn't feel comfortable with the social environment. So and at that time you could sing in the Samadhi, you could say prayer, you could do anything, anytime in the day. There were no rules about that. So I started coming up and saying prayers, usually while other people were having lunch, not at 12 o'clock, but I would go when everyone was having lunch so that I wouldn't disturb other people. Mani then gave me permission, feeling that I wasn't able to go to Arti because I was cooking at that time. In the early years, I did all the cooking myself. So I was busy at 7 o'clock and in the morning and in the evening. And so she gave me the permission to say the prayers whenever I wanted anyway. So all these years, based upon that, I have said the prayers at the Samadhi. And I have to say, never have it is always special It is always unique. It is always filled with some moment of his wonderful presence. What someone once said to me, the way you say the prayers, it feels like you're performing. And I said, I am. I don't want to bore him. I come here to engage with him. Let me entertain him. Let me glorify him.
Since we are on this topic, Alan, could you please do the short one, beloved God, in your own way as you would recite at the Samadhi, please?
Sure. Beloved God, help us all to love you more and more and more and more and still yet more, till we become worthy of union with you. And help us all to hold fast to Baba's Dhamma till the very end.
Avar Meher Baba ki
Avtar Meher Baba ki jai.
So beautiful. Thank you for raising this point, Jay, because even I've been admiring Alan doing his prayers in the afternoon. He would sneak in quietly and do his prayers. Yeah.
So that's, that's, now during this time of COVID, during the lockdown, I stopped and I've been doing them in my room and then going over to Tomb every day to just pay my respect, to try and uphold the rules that have been laid for our during the lockdown for our own protection. So I've stopped. I haven't started them yet quite again. I'm thinking to start them.
Oh.
Alan, I've heard you too at the Samadhi, and I think it was a most beautiful experience, the way you do your prayers and sing the arti there.
Well, I make every effort to make it that for him.
Something for all of us to learn. Something for all of us to learn from this.
Sam, I've heard Harry Kenmore many times, and Alan comes very close to Harry Kenmore in that sense.
Oh, yeah.
I mean it. I've heard him. I have heard him many times, Kenmore, and he comes very close to Kenmore.
Jai Baba, Alan.
Jai Baba.
So now we can call you Harry Kenmore as well.
I've heard Harry's. I've got recordings of Harry's. The way Harry, he had a unique way of saying them.
Yeah.
Infinite.
Yes.
Infinite power. Infinite knowledge. Infinite this.
Yeah. There's a small incident where Dr. Barucha once complained to Baba about Harry Kenmore's praying. He said he was almost like he was fighting. And the next day, Harry kind of tried to tone it down. And Baba said, no, that's not the way to pray. I want you to pray the way you always do, from your heart. Never mind what others have to say. So again, Harry Kenmore went on to his good old ways of praying.
There was an incident with I had an experience where someone was complaining about my praying at the Samadhi. And so I thought maybe I should really tone it down and just go on the side of the Samadhi. And I went to the side of the Samadhi between Mira's grave and Baba's, the Samadhi. And I started to pray, and I felt Baba within me say, are you praying for me or praying for them? You decide. Is this for me or for them? I said, it's for you, Baba. I came around to the front and did the prayers.
So simple, loud and clear. Yeah.
Yes, I do my best to try. Yeah.
Somebody wants to ask a question. Yasmin Haradwala, you raised your hand. Yasmin? She's gone, I suppose. Dinku, is your doggy also listening to all our conversation?
Yes, he does. In
Yeah.
fact, every time when I'm doing joining in the sessions, he's always there, and he sort of comes and lays down on my chest and sits there quietly listening.
Must be a very blessed soul. Very
I'm
blessed.
sure he is.
Yeah. Alan, tell us something about your partner in crime, Mr. Erico.
Oh,
Oh,
well,
it's okay, if it's not too sentimental and emotional.
no. It's
Okay.
Erico had one of the most beautiful minds and beautiful hearts that I've ever seen in anyone I've ever known. He was, first of all, he was brilliant, intellectually absolutely brilliant. And secondly, he had a tremendous ability to feel with the other person,
Mm.
to know the other person's experience. Very, very unobtrusively caring.
Mm.
I don't know what else to say about it. He was the best friend I've ever had. I mean, he, without a doubt.
Jai Baba.
And his,
I remember the pair of you needling Muhammad to come out with some more this thing and all that, you know.
oh yeah,
in those days.
there were those mornings where I would come back from the MPC. I'd
Yes.
be walking back to my room, and I would stop as he would be on the veranda, usually having his milk at that time, and Erica would be in and out of his room, and I would absolutely do anything I could think of to get him to laugh. I would roll on the ground. I mean, outrageous. And he would laugh, and we would just have the best time. You know, and it was all nonsense. I wasn't even saying words. And he would laugh and laugh and laugh. And then once he had me bend over and he drew spirals on my bald head with a felt pen. Erica said he was putting his signature on me.
Whoa. Mm.
So, you know, Erica was just such a rare person. You know, he was my best friend.
Mm.
He spoke like, I don't know, 5 or 6 languages. His intellect was so highly developed that he could learn anything very, very quickly. And languages are something he liked. He learned languages. He would read mathematical treatises, you know, like Ramanujan's treatises on, like he would like reading a novel. And then he tried to talk to me about it. I go, Erica, wait a minute. You need to talk to somebody. I'm the wrong person.
Mm.
No, he was quite remarkable. He and Heather would go on treks in the Himalayas in the 80s in September usually. We take a 3-week and go up to Himachal Pradesh and trek. And he really took me under his wing with trekking and taught me a lot.
Mm.
You know, he was always ready to help, do anything, always.
Yeah. I have some very fond memories of Erico. Yeah. Very fond.
And of course, Heather is also someone who is very giving, very loving, and you know, always ready to step up if you need help with anything.
Mm.
So. But I loved his sister said it when he died. His sister said, "We will all miss that beautiful heart and that beautiful mind."
Wow. Wow. Mm. Any more questions, anybody? Come on, speak up. It's your time to ask. All
Yeah.
hold your peace forever. Archana Grover, go ahead.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, Archana.
And it's been lovely listening to you. You're so composed in whatever you speak, and you have a good word for everyone you've been associated with. So really, you live according to Baba's will. I can say that, though I'm much, much younger to you. And must tell you this, that whenever I come to Mehrabad for a day's trip, I try to make it before noon because I love listening to you when you're reciting the Aarti. It's beautiful the way you do it. It's from the heart. And I have a question. The backdrop just now behind you, Baba's photo, is that a painting? Because it's so much love. His expression in that is like he's really pleased with you. Just an observation.
It's a Linot painting that was given to me by a friend in his will when he died.
Right. Okay.
So I inherited it. It's one of the early Linots. It's quite a beautiful painting.
Beautiful expression. Yes. Thank you, Jeba.
Yeah. Alan, Jimmy again. Do you believe within yourself that you always belong to India?
Well, I had an interesting experience just a few weeks ago. Sure, I belong to Mehrabad, frankly, but I had this experience. I had gone to Bombay to meet the neurologist I'm consulting with for my Parkinson's, who I had never met physically. We'd only consulted on phone, video calls for 2 years. So I went about 2 weeks ago, met him, and on the way back, my caregiver who was driving me kind of lost the way, and we ended up in Alundi. And I said, "Where are we?" He said, "We're in Alundi." I said, "Isn't that Naneshwar's place?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Oh, well, let's just go to Mehrabad." He said, then I thought, no, Baba came here, and even Meru came there with Heather and Janet right shortly before she died. And I thought, wait a minute, Baba's brought us here. Let's see what's in store. Let's see. So I said to him, "Where's the temple?" He said, "We're right next to it." I said, "All right, let's park." We went to the parking lot right there. The parking attendant immediately gave us a parking space right next to the temple. So that my walking issues were not a big deal. We went in. It was like every door just kept opening. We went in, and as we were walking up these big steps to go to the entrances to the temple, I felt that presence which I identify as Meher Baba, because God is one. God is one. So I identify that as Meher Baba. And we get up to the temple entrance, sort of, and there's all these little shops selling garlands and prasad and stuff, and also keeping your shoes. You can give them, they'll keep your shoes for you when you go in. So I picked out one and I said, "Let's leave our shoes here." And my care attendant, we both left our shoes there, and he handed me a garland. I said, "I only want a garland. I don't need the prasad. I just want a garland." I'm speaking in Marathi. He was kind of a little bit taken back. And he said, no, you got to have the prasad. I said, "No, I don't need the prasad. And I know Naneshwar doesn't need the prasad. He's perfect. I'm going to just take the garland and pay my respects." So we walk up the steps and we come to an opening in this building, and we go in, and we're on the side of the building, and there's a grill, and you can see further in, there's other places where people are ahead of you. And I said, "Let's just put," I said to my attendant, I said, "just put the garland on this grill work, and we'll pay our respects, and then we'll come out, circumambulate the temple, and that will be our darshan." So we put the garland and we come out. We're walking along the side of the temple, and to circumambulate it. And as we get about halfway around, a woman comes out of somewhere and obviously works there. She's dressed kind of like someone who had worked there. She worked there. Came out, and as she passed us, she turned back and she gestured. She didn't say a word. She gestured to us to follow her. And she took us up to this side entrance, and there was another grill. A guy inside opened this entrance. They kind of pushed us in. I look back, there's a line of maybe 1,000, 1,500 people snaking behind us. And we're literally like not more than 5 minutes away from the Paduka where people take darshan. And we walk in, so we go through, and there's this beautiful atmosphere. And we take darshan of the Paduka, and we come out, and I said, and spontaneously I said, Baba just never forgets you. He never forgets you. He's always there for you. He's always opening the door. And then I looked around, and this is answering your question. As I looked around, I said, how many lifetimes have I had in India?
Mm.
And then we were both quite intoxicated, and then we came back to Maryland. But I felt that Baba wanted us to go there for some reason, some old something or other. Does that answer your question, Jimmy?
Jimmy?
I can't hear you.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
I said an Indian soul and an American body.
Something like that. Yes, definitely. Because I have, within the first weeks I was at Mehrabad, living at Mehrabad, the first couple of weeks. When I came here, it was the summer. So in the summer, Bob Street and I stayed in what was then pilgrims, the cabins around Lower Mehrabad where they accommodated 12 pilgrims a week. And we were sharing one of those. And then when the pilgrim season started in June, Padre said, you got to get out. Where are you going to go? So I hunted around. I found my old broom, which was falling apart. And he said, you're going to have to fix it up yourself if you're going to live there. So, and he said, I'll give you the handyman to help you do it, but you have to pay for it. We have no money. You have to fix it up yourself. So within the first few weeks I was there, one day I was sitting in the room, and I started weeping to Baba, and I said, Baba, how could you bring me here and let me know? This is the only place I have ever felt comfortable in the world. I've lived in Hong Kong. I've lived in Europe. I've lived all over the United States. The only place I have ever felt at home is here. How could you bring me here? And I did. And at that time, I didn't have enough money to stay. Maybe if I was careful, I could maybe stay 5 years if I was very, very careful. But I was weeping. I said, how could you do this to me, Baba? And let me know that this is the only place I would ever want to be, and I don't have enough money to be here. And I heard him within me very sternly say, either you do it or you leave it to me. And if you leave it to me, never bring this up again. And here I am 45 years later.
That's really helpful. Thank you, Alan, for sharing that.
Alan, there is a lady called Dilshat Kapadia. She wants to know what you recite on the mic during the Duni. Every Duni you recite the prayer, right?
Well, what it is I was reading a glow once. This is when Padre was still alive. In the early years, I was reading a glow, and in the glow, there was a translation of the Duni poem that Baba had written himself, done by Adi. Now, and I took this to Padre and I showed it to him, and he said, it was very interesting, the competition between Mandali members. He said, you give that to me, let me translate that. And what most people didn't know about Padre was, whenever Baba would ask the Mandali to write a ghazal, Ghani would always win. But the person who always came second was Padre. So he took that, and obviously didn't like the way Adi had translated it. He made that translation that I read at the Duni, and he had it Heather typed it up and he gave it to me. He said, read this at every dinner. I said, okay. So I did that for a couple of years. And then one day Padre came to my room with another poem, which is the Francis Baravazan poem, The True Teacher.
Mm.
And I found out that he really liked that poem. And he gave that to me. He said, you read this at every dinner also. So there was an occasion before he died where it was summer. There were only like 5 of us here, maybe at Mehrabad total. And duty came, and I thought all these people are probably bored with hearing me recite, these poems. But I'll do the duty poem that Baba wrote, and I'll just forget about the Francis poem, so that I don't bore people with it. So I read the duty poem, and then the duty started coming to an end, and Padre looks over and he says, "Mister, where's that other poem I gave you?" I said, "Oh, Padre, I thought maybe people were tired of hearing it. I left it in my room." He said, "Go and get it. Come back here and read it. I told you to read it at every duty." I said, "All right." I went to the room. I came back. I read the poem. So that's how those 2 poems came about.
Alan, there's a lady, Rita Kohli, who says here, it's beautiful what she says. She says, not the taste buds, you're feeding our souls today. Jai Baba, Rita Kohli.
Thanks. Avatar Mir Baba Ki Jai.
Yeah, this is so beautiful. Yeah.
Never underestimate his capacity to be intimate.
Mm.
Alan, where do you spend your summers?
Well, the last 3 I have spent here.
Sweating it out, yeah?
Otherwise,
Even years ago, in the early years, I preferred having my summers here than going back to the West, actually. The West bores me. I have nothing to do there. I'm bored. I'm not rich. I can't take advantage of what money can buy and this and that. But it's going to the center is the high point of my being in the States, which I do every time I go. And I used to go, so even in the early years, I used to stay here 6, 7 years without going anywhere else. So this has been, I found the lockdown so great. I got to just be at Mehrabad, nothing to do. It was fantastic. But so the summers I like spending here. I would go in the last, but my mother died 2 years ago. And so she had asked me to come every year. For about 10 years, I went every year to see her. And Mani had always asked that we not go during the pilgrim season if we worked with pilgrims. So I would go in the summer. But it's not that I don't find the heat in May a little bit daunting, but I love April. I love the month of April. That kind of stark, dry, clean, sunburnt, purified place.
Dilshad Kapadia, go ahead. Ask your question, please.
Jai Baba Alan.
Hey, Baba.
If I heard it correctly, you said you've been staying for 45 years now at Mehrabad.
That's right.
So
That's right.
how did you get, I mean, do you have Indian citizenship now? And how did you manage the permission all these years from the state, as in the government, and getting the permission from the authorities?
So really speaking, the answer to that is Meher Baba.
Right.
But also that when Ted came here, when Heather and Erico came here, and when Janet came here, although Janet was Commonwealth when she came here, so she didn't need a visa at that time. We all have a kind of visa that was unlimitedly extendable at that time. And so that's carried on through all our years here. And so long as there's no complaint about us in the police records, we're here. So all of us are on that. At that time it was called an entry visa. I think it's called something else now. But based upon that, we've all survived here all these years. But really speaking, it's Baba.
Right. Anybody else? Any other questions? Jimmy?
Alan, have you given a thought writing your memoirs?
I am dyslexic, so writing for me is not easy. I have given a lot of, some of the young people have been taping me this during the lockdown and doing some videos and stuff of that, my memories, my thoughts. And that's sort of the way it's going to happen.
Okay. Right.
Okay, folks, it's coming up to the closure time. We've got 6 minutes to go. Alan, could you do us a favor and recite the Buzave Nar in your own way?
Sure.
Just a few minutes. Let's keep it open first for anybody to ask, and then we'll end with the Buzave Nar. Anybody wants to ask anything? Please do so now or hold your peace forever. Come on. Okay. Nobody wants to ask nothing. Go ahead, Alan. Let's do the Buzave now, please.
Bujave Nardata Niye Karan Kuda Ratne Paramatu Chelagi Asha Bhakto Ne Kebakshe Nurei Mate Ayamur Shad Meherba Bacharanapa Tushna Dariya Udana Zata Kiva Ke Fatahi Ve So Meherba Tu Chema Likaki Kate No Tu Ashe Bine Arebi Tuche Dari Yahaye Vahidata Mare Vatano Oh we do Hamore Rabni Aisali Bakaste Jnana Izadanu Ketu Para Mahatma Jnani Chanemo Yare Refatu Kudana Prem no Pyar Lokilavi Master Hamne Kara Chetu Japara Jan Sadake Sakiya Dide Payamatu Hamari Nababardari Esarare So Amitariye Hamara Na Kuda Ay Meher Baba Chelige Baba Bujare Nahardata Niye Kare Kuda Ratne Parimatu Chelagi Ashabakto Ne Kebakshe Nurei Avatar Mir Baba Ki Jai.
Jai Baba. Thank you very much, Alan. Does anyone want to say anything now, or shall we close this session? Before we part, Alan, I would like to thank you for taking your time out and talking to us so beautifully. And I just feel prompted to pray to Baba to keep you strong, to make you strong, to serve him long. Thank you very much, Alan.
My
Keep-
privilege. Jai Baba.
Jai-
Avatar Meher Baba ki jai.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Janice, do you want to do your closing speech?
No, I really, really want to thank Baba for this such a beautiful session. Thank you, Baba and you, Alan. Seriously, and the aarti was just amazing. Thank
Well,
you
my
so much.
voice is not quite as strong. The Parkinson's has affected my
It's
voice.
not the voice, but it touched our soul. Thank you so much.
It's your heart, Alan.
Thank you, Baba, for
With
everything.
the voice, it's your.
It's my pleasure, believe me. We're all one family. We're all one family.
So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Anybody has any question, else we can end the session. Okay. So everybody
Thank you
take
very
care.
much for arranging this, and thank you, Alan, for coming. It was a great pleasure.
Hey,
Really
Dinku,
wonderful, really wonderful.
Dinku,
Yes.
I land just now.
Sorry,
Dinku,
Haji?
could you briefly tell us about your dog thing you wanted to say? Very brief.
Yeah, it is very brief, actually. No, after my last dog passed away, I decided I will not keep any more dogs. And then during the initial stages of the pandemic, a lot of people were just abandoning their dogs. So I contacted this lady who was trying to find fosters or people to adopt dogs. And I told her I'd like to foster, but I didn't want to adopt. So she called me back one day and she told me about this dog. And she said, please try and adopt him. He's old and this and that. And I said, no, I don't want to adopt. I'll foster as many as I can. And then the next thing I know, the words came out of my mouth. I was shocked after they came out. And I said, I'll take him. And as soon as I said that, I said, what have I done? Because I had absolutely no intention of adopting another one. I was alone and, this is an old dog, but that was it. And he came to me and he's just been amazing and absolutely an amazing dog. He's got health problems and whatnot, but I know Baba's brought him to me, and it was Baba who made me say out those words. There's no other explanation I can have
Great.
for it.
Great. Thank you, Dinku, for sharing this. You're really blessed. Really blessed. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, thank you.
Jai Baba, everyone. See you again next week. Till then, stay safe.
Very well.
Sorry, Uncle.
Your big speech, yeah? Go ahead.
Stay safe, everyone. Stay safe. Take care. And Baba Nigeba. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai.
Meher Baba ki jai.
Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai.
Baba,